If you have been in the RPG hobby for even a little while, then you have probably heard something like this.
Why would anyone ever use a campaign setting? I mean, isn't that just a small minded thing for people who lack creativity?
On the other hand, you may have heard something like this. Oh, I tried a campaign once where our dungeon master was using a pre-made world, and it was so dumb. And on the other side of the coin, you may have heard something equally derisive said. Oh, this is a homebrew campaign? I wanted to play a cleric of Lathander. That's not a god in this setting, so do you have any Knights of the Purple Dragon prestige class? Oh, I think I'm out, guys. And I'm here today to say, no matter which side of the aisle those words are being spoken from, this is a toxic meme. And I call it Worldbuilder Flex. So what is Worldbuilder Flex? Why should you care? Why is it toxic? And why should you listen to me? I'm just some guy in the internet. They're telling you what to do? Briefly, Worldbuilder Flex is when folks hold homebrew campaigns over published campaign settings and the game masters that run them. On the other side of the coin, it can be sometimes that players mostly will hold homebrew campaigns as something awkward and difficult to work with. At the end of the day, I think the real determinant of whether a good game is had is in the quality of the gameplay, and sometimes in the vividness of the cities and towns and roadways, the dungeons, the seasons that pass with the characters in them, the actual NPCs, which are zoomed into a level much closer than any campaign setting, homebrew or published. In other words, campaign settings and world building are a means to an end, folks. Did you have a good RPG session? Now, that's just my opinion. I do enjoy world building. I enjoy the craft of making NPCs, drawing villages and maps, creating dungeons. I also enjoy watching games play out and seeing people engaged and invested in what's going to happen next. And these two things, they're not directly related always. For example, I can run a published adventure module, and it can be a great fun for me and for my group at the table. And I can even interject some role-playing into the NPCs. I can use the maps in ways that they maybe weren't intended for. And I can have a good day, even though I didn't begin at the inception of all the ideas that we're playing with. On the other side of the coin, I can make a ton of stuff. I can read an entire campaign guide. The truth is that the game might not be any good because I'm too caught up in giving history lectures, or because I'm giving too many details about parts of the setting that aren't directly affecting play. So the reason that Worldbuilder Flex, I think, is toxic is because it ends conversations before they can begin, and it encourages people to make up their mind before they really hear out the results. In other words, it creates prejudice. Now, why is it a meme? It's because it's so fun to repeat. And in some respects, it really elevates different opinions. It creates a dogmatic response. Like, I made my own campaign world. It must be a great. And it might be great in the sense that you can continue to abide in it even when you're not playing. When you're between campaigns, you can return to that friendly place. It can even be a venue for other forms of media, like novels or films. One day, we can dream. But it's not actually realizing any good RPG sessions in those intervening times. And so that pleasure is your own. It's not necessarily related directly to outcomes in the RPG hobby. And when Worldbuilder Flex walks into the room, the notions of what creates good RPG sessions, what deepens our connection to the group and to a campaign, which creates good outcomes, those pathways can get a bit confused. I'm not saying that dutiful world building can't result in great gameplay. I'm not saying that really well-written campaign settings can't evoke themes and ambiance that wouldn't be there if everything was brainstormed on the spot. After all, I've put a great deal of work on this channel into enumerating what's great about some of my favorite campaign settings. And now I'm going to tell you where I have some real skin in the game, folks. I think that Worldbuilder Flex and all the notions around it silence the very idea that published campaign settings and homebrewing content are really in conversation with one another, and that campaign settings, even if you don't run them, can be a great model for how to integrate game concepts into actual gameplay. Where do the dungeons and the dragons exist in a world? Where do the travelers ply the space lanes? What is the adventure? And most importantly, sometimes, who are the player characters and how do they fit together as a group that can be cohesive and stay together and experience peril and friendship and success, perhaps, together? There are campaign settings like the original Traveler universe really fit hand in glove with the rule set and with the intended genre of play. They speak to you about how this game works and how to work this game, in the sense of like, how can interstellar trading and space trucking simulator gameplay turn into something much more exciting, where you're in contact with really alien beings that have completely different value systems. You are confronting a cosmic reality that humanity is so insignificant that it was enslaved before it ever built the first pyramid. These are real things that can happen in science fiction. But Traveler has a way for science fiction adventurers, who happen to often be players who are coming to an RPG session with an open mind, but perhaps a casual mindset, and it finds a way to invest people in these themes. It is a means, a pathway, upon which you wend to achieve an end, which is a theme and a really satisfying RPG experience that transports you to another world. Maybe you have different themes that you'd like to evoke. Maybe you have a different opinion on some of the parts of the Traveler universe. Maybe those aliens are a little bit too furry for your taste. I got a video about that on my channel. But notwithstanding that, studying and understanding how a good campaign setting evokes the RPG that it goes with is a really worthwhile end if you want to create your own. And likewise, if you have created your own, it may give you a greater appreciation of where other campaign settings succeeded or didn't quite meet the mark in regards to what you saw as far as outcomes at the tabletop. Campaign settings for RPGs are more than just lore for its own sake, and they're kind of like the missile that carries a warhead. And if you would like to be a better missile delivery system as a game master, if you want to evoke themes, then this craft of campaign setting creation is something that's worth studying and having conversations about. If we're all just abiding in our own little universes, if there's nothing to be learned from each other's creations, then how can we elevate what we bring to the folks that we play with? How can we learn to create something different next time? Variety is the spice of life. And that's one of the reasons that I use campaign settings, is to change what I'm running, because I am a creature of habit, and I would often do the same thing over and over again if you let me. I enjoy the pulpy, four-color pastiche action of Mystara. I enjoy the lyrical way that the Forgotten Realms seem to be built for D&D, hand in glove, made for a world with dungeons, dragons, and adventurers who reach up into incredibly high levels. And I have so much more to learn, and I have a great deal to share
about those worlds. So that's why Worldbuilder Flex is a toxic meme, folks. I hope you have a great gaming spring, and I hope to see more of you on the channel. And I hope that prejudice is something that we can all leave behind when we hear about the worlds that RPGs abide in.